the sellers that are selling right now can only sell once, which means the price eventually always has to rise. When you get in situations like this, where the price right now is at $109,000, and it feels like we've been stuck here for a while, weeks, and, but if you take a longer view, we haven't been way up for a series of months, depending on how you want to measure it. That is due to sell pressure. Sell pressure is people who have owned Bitcoin for 5, 10, 15 years, deciding that above $100,000, that they're going to just take a few chips off the table and improve the lives of their family somehow. Maybe go on a nice vacation, build an add-on to their house, buy a new house. Who knows what they're doing? But they have every right to sell their Bitcoin and use it as money the way it was actually intended. And people tend to do that when they're way up on their investment. And one day that will be you. You will be way up on your Bitcoin investment, and the price will be stuck at $1 million per coin. And everybody will be complaining that you are selling your Bitcoin. Obviously not you specifically, but you will be one of millions of people that are selling your Bitcoin. Some of it above $1 million per coin, because you want to improve the lives of yourself and your family somehow. But the good news is people that are way up on their Bitcoin can only sell that Bitcoin once. And so 95% of the world doesn't own any Bitcoin. That 95% of the world is a possible Bitcoin buyer. They can't be a possible Bitcoin seller because they don't own any Bitcoin. If you don't own any Bitcoin, you can't sell Bitcoin you don't own. So 95% of the world is a possible Bitcoin buyer, and only 5% of the world is a possible Bitcoin seller. And of the Bitcoin sellers, there's a relatively small percentage of that 5% that are massively up on their investment. And the reason for that is, as the price of Bitcoin has risen, more and more of the early OG Bitcoiners have, improved the lives of them and their families somehow all along the way. But there is still, obviously, a decent amount of sell pressure coming from Bitcoin OGs, because otherwise the price would be much higher. And if you follow James Check like I do, he's fantastic. He's literally the only Bitcoin, analyst that I follow, and I subscribe to his $29 per month subscription, which is the best money I spend in the world of Bitcoin for a subscription to anything. I subscribe to almost nothing, but it's very much worth it. And he outlines regularly just how much sell pressure Bitcoin has had to absorb as the price has risen from $50,000 to more than $100,000. The adoption of the Bitcoin ETFs and all of that has brought just huge amounts of demand from Wall Street and from smart individuals who are constantly stacking Bitcoin every chance they get, like me. But that, is constantly being offset to some degree by early original Bitcoiners that are improving the lives of themselves and their families somehow. But again, they always eventually run out of coins to sell. After the big, there was a big spike in the price of Bitcoin in 2011, and then the dip, and eventually what caused the dip, those people causing the dip after 2011 ran out of coins that they were willing to sell. And then the dip after 2013, those people ran out of coins that they were willing to sell. The dip after 2017, the dip after 2021, which was 2022, we ultimately ran out the people that were willing to sell their coins at those price levels, which means eventually the price had to rise because the demand was still there, because Bitcoin's amazing and it's the future monetary system of the world. So the demand was still there, but there was nobody to sell to that demand at that price. So the price had to rise in order to create a new cohort of people that were willing to sell. So let's say we do run out of people willing to sell around $110,000. Well, what will happen? Well, the price will rise to $120,000 or $130,000. And as the price rises, it creates a new cohort of people who are now in enough profit on their Bitcoin investment that they're willing to part with some of it. So there are people today that will sell some of their Bitcoin at $120,000 that will not sell it at $110,000, which means the price has to eventually go to $120,000 to part those people with their Bitcoin. Now, there's a lot of people like me that don't have a number. Certainly not a number between here and $1 million. So, I don't know why I would part with my Bitcoin. I've already improved the lives of myself and my family in all the ways I can think of. And, I see no reason to move back to US dollars at any price. That just seems dumb. Now, maybe at $1 million per coin, I might think of something big and nice that I want to do to improve the lives of myself and my family. That's at a much larger magnitude than anything I would do at $100,000 Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean I'm going to convert Bitcoin to US dollars It means I just might be a net seller for a period of time above $1 million until I'm back to having everything the way I want it with myself and my family, having improved our lives and funded Christian missionaries and donated to numerous causes and all of the things that we do every day. So the good news is, regardless of what the price is today, or how long it feels stuck, or how much it feels like it's just going nowhere, every day that grinds by is a day that sellers are selling, buyers are buying, and the original sellers that were willing to sell at this price are no longer willing to sell at this price because they are newly acquired Bitcoin rather than old OG Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin that is selling today, that was acquired for $10,000 and is now selling at an 11x profit at $110,000. Each of those Bitcoin at 10,000 is up 100,000 per Bitcoin. Yeah, eventually we'll run out of people that are willing to do that. And when we run out, the price will have to rise. Could there be a dip before that happens? Yeah. If the selling pressure overwhelms the demand on a temporary basis, then you get a dip below the current price. But eventually, no matter what the dip happens or how low it goes, eventually the sellers run out because the sellers have a finite amount of Bitcoin and the buyers have an unlimited amount of purchasing power because the 98% of the world's, actually it's more than that, it's 99.8%. So 99.8% of the world's wealth is not in Bitcoin. Only 0.2% of the world's wealth is in Bitcoin. So that means there is 99.8% of the wealth chasing 0.2% of the wealth. And the people who own that 0.2% of the wealth have a finite amount of Bitcoin that they can sell to the 99.8%. And as they do, the price has to rise because the 99.8% of the world has way more wealth. That wealth, represented by 99.8% of the total pie of wealth in the world, is vastly higher. It's 500 times higher than the wealth that is not already. So we will get through these sellers who are willing to sell at these prices and once again be off to the races. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know. I'm tired of $109,000 Bitcoin. I know you are too. But it's just a matter of time because all those sellers are going to run out of coins and there will still be buyers like you and I and the entire rest of the world to snap up those coins, and that demand pressure will eventually overwhelm the sellers and the price will go up because that's the way supply and demand works.